Hello, everyone, and welcome to Right Wing Rising. Please be sure to like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, 2 weeks ago today, we had the first presidential debate of the 2024 election, and Donald Trump went out there and resoundingly embarrassed Joe Biden, both by letting Joe Biden trip over himself and show everyone just how mentally unfit he is to be president, let alone serve 4 more years in office until he is 86 years old, but also because the Republican nominee stayed on message and hammered Joe Biden on his awful record, especially on the economy and immigration, which is exactly what he needed to do. He needed to not interrupt Joe Biden, stay calm, cool, and collected, no matter what was being discussed, no matter what was being thrown at him from Joe Biden, and he did that. He showed a much more reserved version of Trump that came across a lot more presidential than perhaps the first debate in 2020 did, and that's for sure. And the voters saw that. The people that watched the debate on CNN, 2/3 of them said that Donald Trump won the debate. This is the first time out of the 5 debates that Trump has previously participated in, the 3 with Clinton in 2016 and the 2 with Biden in 2020, that he has won a CNN poll of viewers of the debate. And that's huge because he has picked up all of the momentum after the debate. The Democrats and Joe Biden's campaign wanted to have the debate early. It was the earliest presidential debate in history, might I add. It happened before the nominating conventions for both parties, which is completely unusual. But they wanted to have it early because Trump is leading in all of the polls, and Joe Biden wanted to have a moment where he could maybe capture some of the momentum back, have a good debate performance, and swing the polls in his direction. Nothing is going his way. His record is awful. The economy is awful. No matter what the media wants to gaslight you by saying, the average person knows that it's bad. The border crisis is a major concern of people, of everyday people in this country. There have not been a lot of positive signs for his campaign or his administration because Joe Biden finally got exposed for the average viewer to see on live TV. The campaign couldn't say that it was a fake, that it was an edited video. No, it was live on CNN of all places. It wasn't even Fox News. He sounded hoarse. He sounded very quiet and infirm. You could barely hear him and understand him when the debate first started, compared to Trump, who does not act and sound like his age. And Biden often mumbled and trailed off or completely lost his train of thought mid-sentence and could not even complete the point he was trying to make. Within the first 10 minutes of the debate, this happened. And this is something I'm sure many of you have seen by now. It's gone viral on the internet, but it's worth rewatching.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
We finally beat Medicare. He starts talking about something that he passed or something vague that he got done. He says COVID, then nope, that was a misspeak, and then he stutters, says look, and we finally beat Medicare. He just comes up with something to say because he completely lost his train of thought. He knew he had to finish up the point. He knew he was running out of time to answer, and that took 20 seconds. That entire disaster that you just listened to took 20 seconds, and he said absolutely nothing. And then he said we beat Medicare, which doesn't make any sense because especially the Democrats are always talking about entitlements and how the Republicans want to cut entitlements. So he's saying that he got rid of Medicare, which is very strange, not even true. And then Donald Trump says, yes, you beat Medicare, you beat it to death, and then uses it as a segue to talk about the illegal immigration crisis, how that's affecting Medicare and Social Security, because Democrats and liberals are giving out free money to illegal immigrants, and that's a strain on the system. And that happened right off the cuff. Donald Trump had 3 seconds to respond to that. The moderator was like, thank you, Mr. President. Now, Trump, you have a chance to respond. He came up with it like that, right in the spot. And that's the difference between him and Biden. Biden cannot finish complete, coherent thoughts off of a note card that he's reading. He was visibly looking down at something the entire debate, while Trump is just going off the cuff. Biden says something stupid, and he immediately comes up within 3 seconds with a creative and funny retort to Joe Biden's gaffe. Next presidential election, you would hope to have two slightly younger people running for office, but at the same time, Trump does not look 78. He does not act 78. That is for sure. He acts a lot younger than Joe Biden, which is not saying much, but you would not think that Joe Biden is merely 4 years older than Trump if you listen to the two of them speak. And another instance of this happened a little bit later in the debate where Joe Biden again got completely owned by Donald Trump.
Continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we can do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
And this is what I'm talking about. Trump completely made Biden look even worse than he already did himself. Biden embarrassed himself by his own actions and just the way that he is right now. He's not mentally, physically capable of holding the office that he holds. So that looks bad enough, but Trump completely one-upped him just by looking more presidential, acting way younger than his age, showing that he's still very much with it, but also just completely clowning Biden every chance he got. He called him Brandon at one point in the debate, which is a hilarious swipe at Biden. If you've never heard of the "Let's Go Brandon" chant, I'm sure many of you have. But overall, it wasn't like Trump showed a masterclass of a debate performance. He did have those one-liners. He stayed on message for most of the debate. He did a good job contrasting his record with Biden's awful tenure as president. He had phenomenal answers on the abortion issue and also on January 6th. He absolutely decimated Biden on the Afghanistan withdrawal in 2021 that Biden oversaw so disastrously. And he kept hammering the immigration issue, kept going back to it, bringing everything back to it. And that was really huge because that's his winning issue. And that's a big top 2 issue this election cycle. But it wasn't just that Trump did so good, because I thought there were a couple questions at the end that he really didn't answer. He started to ramble a little bit and spend more time doing rebuttals to what Biden had previously said about him than he did to answering the question at hand. So I thought that was a weak point of the debate for Trump, but he still got his message across. He made the points he wanted to, and Biden just did so awful. He underperformed even the lowest of expectations that it made Trump look even that much better. Even when Biden wasn't talking, he was doing these weird stares, like he was just staring 50 miles into the distance. Seemed like he didn't know where he was. He really wouldn't even react much when Trump would say things. It was just a PR disaster for him and his campaign. And it also just showed how far Biden has fallen off in just 4 years. Because we all thought he was bad in 2020, and in 2019 he had a lot of gaffes, but they were mostly misspeaks or things of that nature, or he would say stupid things. And yes, he was still old and very much looked at in 2020. He at least could form coherent sentences and make his point to voters and get his message across. He can't do that now. We can look to this video comparing him in 2019 and 2020 to what he looks like now. I don't even need to put the audio on. You can just see he's talking rapidly at a normal pace. He's speaking coherently. Now you can just see he's like squinting into the camera. He does not look well. He's stuttering right there, and he's just stammering and can't get his point across, muttering. You can just see he looks so much younger here and able to get his point across better, speaking clearly, speaking for a long period of time, not having a problem with it, doing an hour and a half debate many times for the Democrat nomination process in 2019. And he barely is able to make it through the debate with Trump without having 10 different misspeaks, times that he loses his train of thought, and just goes off on a tangent that makes no sense and ends up with saying, "We beat Medicare." And we can see here in 2020, same thing. He does look a little bit older even from 2019, but he's still speaking clearly, and he's doing well in the debate. He spoke directly to the camera, was making his point dramatically to the voters, and obviously he was still terrible on policy, but at least he wasn't a walking disaster like he is now in the year 2024, as it cuts to Trump completely clowning him, saying that he didn't know what he said at the end there, which is exactly the video that I showed previously. And we can see what it's done with the polls. Donald Trump has not been trailing in a single poll that was conducted after the debate. You would never have dreamed this in 2020. Biden was up by anywhere from 7 to 15 points a lot of times in the national polls leading up to that election. If you think I'm being ridiculous or over inflating his margin, look it up. It was ridiculous. He was leading by a lot. He only ended up winning the national popular vote by around 4.5 points, so they way overestimated him. And this time, Donald Trump is the one that's up. And Joe Biden is stuck in the low 40s, mostly in all of these polls since the debate, whereas Trump is not even cracking 50%. He's in the mid to high 40s by and large. And the best Biden can do is tie Donald Trump in the polls. And we can see around the time of the debate, Joe Biden was up by at most 1 or 2 points in 2 different polls. And guess what? If he wins the popular vote by 1 to 2 points, Donald Trump will still win the election because that will be enough to give him the Electoral College vote. And it's so bad for Biden that even the media has turned on him. 538 is not a conservative and Republican friendly polling place. And they even showed that Donald Trump absolutely clearly won the debate and that Biden performed even worse than expectations, meaning that they already had bad expectations for him and he still did worse somehow. Showing that Trump did about average, which I think he did a little better than average personally, but Joe Biden was expected to do a little bit less than average, but he did poor. That was the rating they gave him. It's really funny to see even the media having to be honest after seeing the train wreck that we all witnessed on live national TV. And the reason that I think Donald Trump's performance was a little bit better than average was simply from his closing statement, which I will play the first 15 seconds of.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in.
And that was perfect in my opinion, because the closing statement that Biden made before this, he didn't even get to finish. He got cut off by the moderator because you were only given 2 minutes for the closing statement for each candidate. And he rambled and bumbled over his words so much that he chewed up the 2 minutes and didn't get to finish. He awkwardly got cut off and looked really weak and pathetic. Donald Trump was able to finish his point within 2 minutes. It was coherent, and I like how he started off. Joe Biden has been in office since 1973. He's been in for over 50 years now. He's a career politician, and what has he accomplished in that time? Trump was saying he's known many politicians over the years, and all of them are the same. They complain about issues, they tell you how bad an issue is, but they don't do anything to fix it when they get into power and when they have a chance to do so. Joe Biden is the president. He could fix the issues that are being talked about in the debate. The economy, he could close the border, he could try to negotiate peace deals with Russia and Ukraine, and in the Middle East, to calm the violence that has started under his watch. But no, he just complains about it and tells you what he will do if he gets 4 more years. Why can't he just do it now? He still has 6 months left in his term. It's because he's not interested in doing anything to fix it. Obviously, he's either incompetent, wants things to be as bad as they are, or maybe a bit of both. Probably a bit of both, if we're being honest. Michael Bennet, a Democratic senator from Colorado, is saying that, quote, Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election, and maybe win it by a landslide and take with it the Senate and the House. I think we could lose the whole thing, and it's staggering to me. They are in complete disarray right now, they being the media and the Democratic Party, the likes of which I have never ever seen before in my lifetime. Because the issues that are affecting this country under this administration, this train wreck of a presidency led at least by a figurehead in Joe Biden, is affecting the working class and middle class voters that Republicans need to win this election. And they are easily getting them on their side because Trump's policies in his first term have proven to work better for those voters, for the average American. And it's being seen clearly now. And that puts Republicans in a very good position when you can say that your track record is better than the other party, and you have records to contrast. This is the first time in modern American history that a former president is the nominee against the current president, because it's clear to see records compared rather than just saying, this is what I would do, but I have no record to compare it against the current president's horrible record. Now you actually do. If this continues at the rate it's going, the Democrat civil war, Trump's momentum in the polls, and just in the election in general, and Biden continues to crater with the average voter, with independents, and people all across this country who have seen not just his horrible policies, but also his cognitive decline and inability to do this for 4 more years, then it's going to be a very good election night for Republicans. And Donald Trump has a very strong chance, he's in a very strong position to win back the presidency and have strong coattails up and down the ballot that will carry Republicans all across the nation at different levels of government to victory. This could be an election unlike conservatives and Republicans have seen in many, many years. And that would give them the opportunity and put them in a position of power to change the course this country is currently on. And that would be a very, very good thing and a monumental opportunity to get this country on the right track once again.